Namaste. My name is Avni Varia, and I am from Ahmedabad, the first UNESCO World Heritage City of India. And I'm representing the Museums of Ahmedabad initiative. And today we have a very guest with us to have a conversation with. Her name is Ambika Patel, and she is the head of Museology Department at the Maharaja Sayajirao University in Baroda in Gujarat, which is, I think, one of the very special departments, because not every college in India has a museology specialty, and she is the president of ICOM India. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome. And thank you very much for joining us today for the celebration of International Museum Day 2022. So, ma'am, I would like to start with a very basic understanding from you, for me and for all of us who have never heard of the term ICOM. So for me, ICOM is International Council of Museums, and the only thing I know about it is that it has started sometimes in 1977. And there is also an ICOM India section, which you are part of the team. And I would say that I've been seeing a lot of activities about museums across India and ICOM India through your participation. So I would like you to start with that.
Okay. First of all, let me wish everyone on International Museum Day 2022. And the main theme for this year is the power of the museum. So we are trying to showcase, we are trying to reach out to the society and the public to look at museum as a powerhouse. So, that is the theme what we are celebrating. And thank you so much, Avni, for inviting me to join in this session for a conversation with you. As you said, many of the people out of museum sector, or some of them even in the museum sector and in the heritage sector, may be that much aware of the activities of International Council of Museums. So as you said, I'm not there to talk on the origin and the history, because it has been a long story, because we have to come to the short point of the specific focal point. What we want to emphasize is the ICOM, which is the International Council of Museum, which is housed in Paris, which is the headquarters in Paris. And it has more than 200 international it should say more than 200 countries who are the members of this organization. When we say countries, the members of organization means these countries are the national committee. They represent the national committee. They represent the nation. So as you said, ICOM India is the national committee for the museum professionals and the professionals from heritage sector who can take the membership of ICOM, but this is the national committee through which the process is routed. So we are the part of the larger community, which is the ICOM community. So we are part of the rest of the 200 plus national committees, the countries which has their chapters, like ICOM India. We have ICOM Nepal, we have ICOM Pakistan, we have ICOM Sri Lanka, we have ICOM Austria, we have ICOM US. So this ICOM and the rest of the tail, the prefix part is the country name. So that is how it is represented as the national committee. Now, this national committee has the role of, uniting or maybe networking the people within the country, give them a platform to reach out to the larger community of ICOM, and at the same time network among ourselves to see our strength, our difficulties, our priorities, our constraints, and how we have to network together to strengthen our national committee as a platform. And then network with Asia Pacific, which is the Asia Pacific Regional Committee. We have an ASPAC. I'm a board member of that also. So we could have one more platform, an intermediate regional platform, and also the International Council of Museum platform. So our larger goal with ICOM India, which I'm elected president from 2021 onwards. So my term is 21 to 24. So my effort right from the beginning is membership drive, getting larger number of people from the museum sector, from the cultural heritage sector into it. and then further networking with as many as institutions we can, not only through International Museum Day, but throughout the year with talks and webinars and small scale exhibitions, community outreach programs, educational activities, whatever feasible and possible smaller things we could do, so that we get the feeling of, togetherness. So we stay together, do together, learn together, and grow together. That's something what I feel ICOM India is targeting in. This year we have more than 150 members, though it was COVID, but more than 150 members renewed and new members coming up. We have more than 6 institutions joining us, private and public both. So I should say we are in a good pace now.
Yeah.
And possibly when we work together, we could have more international platforms, share our ideas and know-how, and then and make India and Indian flag go little high up in the international platforms, even in the cultural sector and the museum sector. We have a huge potentiality for that.
Yeah, I would say there's immense potential. My experience working since 2014 only with Ahmedabad museums, and now from 2020 we are expanded from museums of Ahmedabad to museums of Gujarat. So I think it's so much of potential just in Ahmedabad. So you are dealing with all over India, and I can see that the way you have put your efforts and the drive towards the membership and the events, you can actually, when you go online or when you see search about museums, you can see a lot of things popping up through ICOM India, and I think that's commendable. So for me, I think when I started the program, it was more about just knowing how many museums are there in Ahmedabad, and slowly within 6 months, when I found different museums and different themes, I saw a lot of potential in community building. So the power of museums through community building, of the museums coming together, because our first all museums meeting, which happened somewhere before 3 years, and when we saw all the museum teams together and presenting their museum information, and all the other museums, like there were 26 museum participants then, and there was an awareness, there was an information sharing, and there was a bonding. And I think that's what, for me, is the great power of museum community coming together. So what do you have to say about that? Because when you have been part of many organizations, and there are a lot of challenges for organizations to work with each other. So what would you say to all the museums and museum teams across India, and especially for our museums of Ahmedabad teams, how do we build the communities?
Yeah, see, when we talk of community, we are now talking about the museum community, because we are trying to find our own community more closer and stronger with strong bonds. As you said, I was been interacting with many museums. I devote some time of my weekends, or maybe sometime in the weekdays, one evening, especially interacting with museum professionals to see their feedback, to see their understanding. So many a time I find what we needed is a bit of openness as far as professionalism is concerned. And this is mine, this is yours, or this is ours. There's a lot of compartmentalization in terms of, what I find was kind of when you share things. For me, I feel I'm always open for that's just a message which I wanted to give the younger generation, because I'm trying to pull out a lot of young ICOM India members, because they have a long way to go. Yeah. And they're very fresh. And along with the elders and youngsters, what I'm trying to balance in the beginning steps, what I tried to, as a president, what I tried was a blending balance between these two, so that the youngsters get boosted up, elders get a kind of value that they could do value addition to our approaches, because I'm in the middle way in between these two sections. And also what I felt when I was interacting with many museums, government museums have their own difficulties in taking permissions, collaborating with us, because I've been trying with many museums to collaborate with and then do small scale events. We could have done it with ASPAC, or maybe with ICOM UK, or maybe with ICOM, many other ICOM national committees, which I deliberately did not jump into, because I thought, let us work from home first. Let's
Yeah.
clean out our home. Let's see what we can do. When I say clean out, take it with the right spirit. It
Yeah.
means like, let's stand together, stay together and see what are need to be done. So
And I
as
would
you said, I was just trying to
trust each
understand the
other.
dynamics.
Ma'am, I would like to add one more
Yeah.
thing. Let us trust each other and support each other and promote each other.
Yes. Yes. So it's basically the trust building. I think that's the first exercise we have to do, the trust building in terms of, see, museums are there. You have to work for them. It is a national treasure for every museum. It's everybody's material. So it's like we are just trying to help each other so that it become more vibrant, more dynamic, more reachable. And then the, as you said, the museum community, the fraternity, the people in the museum sector come closer, learn from each other. And I sometimes I would tell you very frankly that I learn from my students many a time. I learn
Yeah.
from elders. I learn from a person who may be a gallery assistant. When I go and look at the museum environment, I ask him about the climate. I just ask him, are you have any kind of control measures about, relative humidity or temperature measures? Have you ever handled that, some USB drives or some small instruments to check or monitor those museum climate or environment? So, I interact with those level people to know what is happening rather than getting into the curators or directors, so that we'll get a ground reality understanding of what is it. So when I get in touch with them and talk to them, I sometimes feel, there's a lot to be done. Some of them even don't know whether there has to be a regulation of such. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is that why I'm doing that, because just to understand, not to check them, but to understand what is the most urgent things to be done and what we have to start in terms of, if it is needed, bit of capacity building or maybe more interactive sessions where get to know each other in a better perspective. So what I feel is that it's not like competing each other, but complementing each other. That is the spirit needs to be built up.
Yeah.
Possibly that's what I keep feeling. We are not competing each other, we are just complementing each other, helping each other, broadening our hands, opening our arms to welcome others to join us. So that the true sense of community building, community participation, community in sense of museum community could be more fruitful, more effective, perhaps.
Yeah.
Sorry, for some
Yeah,
Polish words.
I think I love your drive about even at your level, you are trying to understand. And I think that's more important, because for me also, when I started with the understanding of 6 to 7 museums or 10 museums in Ahmedabad, now in our numbers, personally, I have visited 30 museums and private collections, and the numbers are going beyond 34, 35 now. So initially, I think it was for me a little depressing, because every museum when I go, I would see a lot of negative things, and I would myself depress that what am I going to do from outside when the team and the entire museum fraternity is not ready for it. But for a year, I took a pause to directly communicate with them, and rather than that, I started bringing educational institution and started doing my own events as a collaborative events, using museums as a partner for venue. And I think that started working. So for me, I understand your point of view, what all you're talking, but for me, I think one started with an idea that, okay, what can I do in this situation with all the challenges what we have, be it financial challenges, be it strategic planning challenges, be it teams and skilled team as challenges, be it anything, like even the hesitation of coming online. I think that's the biggest block we have, that we don't want to put things online. But you don't really need to put everything online. You need to share information about what can a person come and see when they come to your museum. So I think these are simple things. So we started with that, and I'm really happy to say that today, when there are international events of heritage happening or museums happening, people approach us and we organize and curate for them in Ahmedabad, and I think things are moving. So for me, I think it's from depression to a lot of positivity. And yeah, there are challenges. So one thing what we started, which we have kept on hold for a while, probably 3 years, I've not done that, is bringing all the museums at one platform. So right after the all museums meeting, we started with monthly meeting of museum teams, and it was very enthusiastically, like at least 7 to 10 museums used to come every month, and we started sharing, and I think that was very nice. But the moment we talk about the financial requirement of doing such things, I think that is a biggest challenge, where even if you host one meeting, and even if you give one chai or biscuit as part of the whole meeting, or set up the meeting, or meetings were generally happening at the museum venue, so we never had to spend anything on it. But that financial aspect of getting some funding for such events, even to promote or unite museums with each other, to organize regular museum meetings, is a problem. And to say very frankly, I'm not a very good fundraiser, so I found it very challenging. So do you have any tips for museums or people like me who want to do things to get some kind of official funding which can bring this drive together back again? Because I think there is a lot of challenge around the financial part, because in museums in Ahmedabad, there are very few museums even who charge tickets. So that is, they don't have any income in terms of even visitor coming in and paying something. So would you like to kind of share some thoughts on it, basically?
Yeah, I think we really have to start in that context. When you think that, individual museum and then their fundraising, possibly because it has to start from there, not from the meeting point of view, but from the point of view, make them more sustainable. What is the way to do it? If they are not charging, the footfall is not counted, not ticketed, there is no revenue based on the visitor trafficking, then what can be the next? Possibly in terms of the event management, or maybe museum shop, or maybe some kind of a collaborative event with a organization who will be able to donate some money and give the name, because it comes through the CSR funding. Or maybe in Gujarat and Ahmedabad, I'm sure that a large number of industrialists and other people who could actually give some small donations, and in the banner or in the event, you felicitate them, or maybe recognize and acknowledge their small scale contribution. Possibly the museums they have to come out of their shell and start that activity of fundraising, not in the name of fundraising, but in the name of outreaching the society, collaborating with the
Okay, it looks like there is some challenge in network. So meanwhile, Ambika ma'am comes back. Meanwhile, we can talk more about the Museums of Ahmedabad program. So the Museums of Ahmedabad program, basically.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You will have to take a 2-minute pause and start again. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think it went my net connection.
Absolutely.
I have also running short of battery also. Okay, so I think the individual museum has to come out of their shell and then start some activity, and slowly, that kind of a positivity vibe comes in, where so few museums, if they do at their level, and then interacting among the group. And I'm sure that, Avni, I agree with you absolutely. Getting fund is a very big issue, even financially. Fee. So that is also which we have not used, because we have kept it on reserve money, so that if we want to do an event internationally or something, we could use it. But if you remember, we have been under the phase of revitalization from 2017 to 2021. Now we are slowly getting into pace. So what I'm trying is with some organization who is non-ICOM member, but some individuals who are ICOM members, through whom I could connect with some organizations. So we are trying to pull our own strength, our own ICOM India members, to become the strength of the way I said, okay, for Avni, I have to do, because you are an individual member of ICOM India. So it's my responsibility to link with you and connect with you many more, whether it is Ahmedabad's Museums of Ahmedabad, or maybe individual museum of Ahmedabad. So whenever I have time and energy and this thing, I used to network with people and support such way, so that slowly and slowly we have to build up the networking. So there money is an issue, but then without money, without good wishes, without people's participation, we have to make a groundwork. I think we can't just start from top and get some events done and then forget about it. I think it will take some
Has to be
time to
right.
get rooted. Yeah. So for the fundraising, yes, definitely there are projects from ICOM, but those projects comes with solidarity projects and big projects when the national committee have a big role to play. And then that big role goes to the other national committees also, international committees also. So that's a different story. But for
Yeah,
individual
I
organization,
sometimes
you
separate.
have to find out from the cultural sector where, for like you can approach the government of Gujarat, or maybe the Department of Museums and Archaeology and places like that. I remember you were doing that event with, Baroda Museum during the Mahatma Gandhi's 2nd October. Your Charka event was a wonderful thing, and it was well received, and many people were there. And
Yeah,
I was not aware, because last moment I got your information. Otherwise, I should have asked you to add ICOM India into it, so that there is,
absolutely.
because
Any,
that's how we could build up and then show people, yeah, networking and showing that, okay, so this
yeah,
was a part of ICOM India activity. For ICOM India wanted to do such kind of activities in collaboration with some other organization. So we really
sure.
have to, work together, build together, and then do what can be done in the next level of doing it.
No,
And
I would actively
as you
say
said,
that,
there's a large number of museums in Ahmedabad. So when you look at India, the number is so many. We have not
yeah,
even made a proper
not
directory of
counted.
the number of museums in the private sector and in the public sector. So
Yeah.
I think there's a gigantic volume of job has to be done.
Hmm.
But of course, yes, I'm just putting the small efforts from the western corner of India, but trying to outreach as much as possible. But I'm sure that there are so many people now coming forward. We are going to do a volunteering program boosting session with Riti and the musical instrument in Bangalore, musical instrument museum in Bangalore. So they have become this year as the institutional member of ICOM India. So they come forward. I said, okay, let's get one more organization into it. So Riti is run by Tejaswi Jain, and she is the ICOM India member. So these three in collaboration, they are doing a volunteering program session where the need of volunteering. So volunteering as a power, bringing power for museums, more power. So
I
like
truly
fundraising, we can think of doing in.
Yeah, I truly believe in volunteering because this is the first time I am talking about this in public domain, that Aadhar Charitable Trust, which is my baby, and the programs which I run under them, has been taking up projects and doing events like Heritage Film Festival, which costs us nothing less than 15 lakh a year, but there is a lot of support of volunteers. So, and I also believe in barter system. So every time you don't talk about money, you talk about barter. You give me something, I give you something, and let's make it happen. And I think it has worked very well. It has worked very well. And I think in India, we have a DNA of bartering our skills and knowledge and spaces and all. So for me, I think I asked this question because a lot of people have this question. But for me, I would personally say that when I initially started, I had put in our own money from the charity, and we have been working with barter, and programs happen. Even a lot of museums are coming together with us very positively to do events. And when people across India started seeing that impact, they started approaching us. For example, when the India Heritage Walk Festival happens, they call us and they collaborate us, and they pay the expenses, the actual expenses of the event. So when people see what you are doing and it is impactful, slowly, in last 4 years, we have developed that credibility that people are now coming forward for sharing financial resources to us. So my message would say that, okay, it is a challenge, but it can be done, and it can be done once you have some proven record, proven history. And you mentioned about all these three organizations online. And I have been following them. They have been following the Museums of Ahmedabad program. And I see a lot of individuals in India, across India, are trying to push this whole idea about museums and cultural spaces, and they are doing a lot of different things, which is really commendable. I would congratulate all of them on this event today. So today we are talking with Ambika ma'am when she's traveling. So we're definitely facing a lot of internet issues because of that. But please bear with us. She will be around here. She will be back. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we can hear you now.
I'm sorry, the network is some issue, so my
Totally fine. We can understand your situation and appreciate that you are still doing this session for us.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Fundraising is a big issue, but I think if we stand together, there many things can be possible without fund, but we'll also can make a platform. And as you said, once the image building is done, so many things will, follow up. We keep working. What I believe in is that keep working, the rest will happen accordingly. It will pick up its momentum. But instead of that, we sit and think that, oh, we'll cry around, there's no money, there is no people to do it. So I think it will be a never-ending story. So what I have been doing a rigorous, some people ask me, as a university professor, why you sit till 7 o'clock in the evening to work? But I find with less number of staff and limited number of this financial support, we have some, but not much, which is not if you compare with the other higher education institutions which are flourishing. So if you wanted to compete with them, I'm not saying compete, but at least at par with them, we need to have, we have to find out the ways and means of doing, maybe, survive without that huge money which they have, but still of that, showing up the scale and quality of our work up the same quantity. That can only happen with a bit of willpower as well as dedication and collaboration. So networking collaborations are very, very significant, very important. And on top of that, I'm actually trying to push this volunteering as, as a dimensions we all of us has to think. Because when we talk of volunteering, people say, what kind of volunteering? Volunteering in museum sector is not, picked up the way it has to be.
Yes, I think what Ambika ma'am is talking about is the drive, voluntary drive, what they have focused now from ICOM India and other collaborations in India. And personally for me, I would say volunteering is a very, very powerful tool for all the museums and cultural organizations, because a lot of young people with a lot of passion and young—
One of the dimensions possibly we could—
Sorry, no, I was just talking about that how all the cultural institutions and museums can utilize the power of young volunteers. And I have experienced that in last 15, 20 years with Aadhar, and it's a great potential. So I would here like to say that anywhere in Ahmedabad or in Gujarat, wherever we can collaborate as a program, as a charity, Aadhar Charitable Trust and Museums of Ahmedabad initiative, we would be happy to kind of share our skills, knowledge, and network, ma'am, in that, because we believe that when all the passionate people come together, all the positive impacts are going to happen. And India needs that. Indian museums need that. So I can see that there's a lot of, and I know that you have a lot of power cut there, and there's a very little battery in your phone. So we would just
I'm outside traveling, and in between this is the place where I'm staying.
That's what I was saying.
Near to that place, I arranged somewhere I could sit and talk to you.
Yeah, I was telling the audience that we really appreciate that you are doing this in the middle of your on-road travel. You are somewhere in South India, and you are still doing this with us because you have power cut today. So we will try to kind of cut short and make it very short now with just next 2 points. One would be, say there's a lot of, when I saw the theme, the power of museums, I could really relate with that. And one of the aspects of the upkeep of the museums, because they are the small, big, any kind of artifacts, textile, non-textiles, or these days we have a lot of different kind of museums like science museums and maths museums and accountancy museums and legal museums. And so what do you say about the power of really keeping a museum up to date, and how does that impact?
Yeah, definitely. When we say, power of the museum definitely deals with its identity. So its identity is a holistic perspective where not
Sorry about this technical thing. We are keeping, sorry, we are losing the internet connection from her side, but that's what is going to happen because we know that she's in a remote place and we will wait for her. So today on International Museums Day 2022, we are working with Ambika Patel, who is the head of the museology department at Maharaja Sayaji Rao University in Baroda and also president of ICOM India. She will be back soon with us as soon as her internet gets connected. Ma'am, tell us when you are back.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm extremely sorry.
No, ma'am.
I don't know how I'm going to do the sessions tomorrow. Also, I'm on the road. Anyway, this is an unfortunate situation this year. Okay, so we were talking about the identity of the museum in terms of upkeeping. Upkeeping, I'm trying to put it upkeeping in definitely upkeeping gives the brand value to it. Whatever sorts of upkeeping in terms of it is maintenance, in terms of outreach, in terms of networking, in terms of branding. So these museums, I think all of them smaller, whether it is accountancy museum, whether it is legal history museum, whether it is calico museum, of the museum of textile, whether it is a kite museum, whether it is an utensil museum, whomever and whatever, they really have to, brandize themselves. The brand in terms of branding means the identity creation. Identity in a holistic perspective, where it is not just you have huge collection, so you have, unique one, but are you communicating properly? Are you up, as you said, upkeeping well? What is your outreach programs? Which are the strategies for your management? And then because these are the things I think the other domains where a museum really have to think and work out.
Yes.
Possibly organizations yours like and ICOM India and other organizations could help them out if they really want that help. But only thing, they have to come out of their shell and share the things, like, to find out what are the possibilities, what way they could lift themselves to get that level of identity in terms of, or maybe as you said, your museums of Ahmedabad could be a hub of, many of them, and then possibly they could help each other and integrate, and they could weave the story in a better way, maybe a connecting story among themselves, one object among each one of them to build up a story of the city. So everybody contribute and then make, individual identity bringing into a bigger identity, perhaps possibly could work in. But as of course I agree with you, the kind of upkeep itself, the cleanliness, the maintenance, the strategies, the accessibility, because not the physical accessibility of the collection, but the accessibility of the administrators, accessibility of the curators. Yeah. Yes, so that there comes your the community dimension we are talking about. As a community, how much professionally we are, connected to each other.
Yes,
and
that is one of the thing what we are trying.
The attitude towards doing the work,
Yeah.
the museum profession, put it in the proper context.
Yeah.
Because I think we really have to, dilute those compartments where we said this yours, mine, theirs, ours. We really have to dilute those compartments and make it into a
it's just
one.
the music.
So possibly, I think when the museum professionals start doing that, yeah, and then I think that by that time everything will be, something like I think the way we said two things, what I always keep saying when it comes to, because government of India talking about vocal for local. Yes, that's the first thing we have to start with.
Yes, absolutely.
You start from your own museum and then do the next, and then we can go global. Yeah. So the step by step that, and then we are talking about Atmanirbhar India. So let be the individual museum will be more independent, and if it is the staff, it is the maintenance, if it's the marketing, if it's outreach, if it's education, whatever, let them do bit
Yeah.
of it, not everything at one go, but bit by bit, section by section, issues
Yeah.
by issues. Possibly, I think a holistic thing will definitely bring in more vibrancy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there is a positive response of because I've been interacting with people last
There
few
is
years
absolutely
regularly,
positive. Yeah.
and I could see a lot of momentum and vibe coming up, and museums are coming forward to share their programs and share
Yeah.
their skill, and then we are opening up. We are opening up. I think we have
I
a
think we are on that
bright
path,
future.
and slowly and steadily will increase the speed. And I would say appreciate the efforts of the PM this year, Modi ji, who in his the radio program, he mentioned specifically about the International Museum Day, and he requested everybody
Yes.
to go to a museum wherever you are. So for me, I think the idea of Museums of Ahmedabad was to popularize museums first in Ahmedabad, because if I, as an Ahmedabadi, don't know about the museums of Ahmedabad, I've never visited museums, and then I talk about international museums, it doesn't make any sense. So local for vocal is one thing what we are focusing on, and also sustaining the museums and Atmanirbhar museum in very different ways. So it's about strategy and fundraising or income generation too. Why we always look for money coming from outside? Why can't we find small ideas about generating small incomes? So I think that has started happening, and I don't know how much contribution we have done, but we have seen in last 5 years, a lot of museums have started doing independent programs, and they tell us that you just share information, and we are happy to do that. So I personally, sitting in Ahmedabad, see a lot of change, and I see that there are challenges, but there are museums with young enthusiasts who have started pushing their own boundaries with the limited resources. They have started doing events and started putting it online also, and also doing collaborations with other institutions. So that is, I think, very, very appreciative and positive for me. So ma'am, without taking a lot of your time when you are traveling and doing this for us, I would like to, before closing, I would like to ask you if you want to talk about anything on this platform about the power of museum yourself. You are most welcome to say anything.
Yeah, the power of museum is the theme which ICOM has been selected for this year, and I think that's a very essential point what India really have to think of in a very serious way. We have been doing a lot of work. Our museums are rich with collections. The only thing what we need to do is, when we think of museum as a powerhouse, it has a lot of power because it's dealing with the past, it's dealing with the present, it is there for the future. So a lot of collection, we have to maintain them, we are maintaining them, but to outreach, as you said, outreach in the true sense, we need many other things, strategization and finance and things. So those areas which is left out possibly of XYZ reasons, without getting into those, without doing dissection and postmortem and kind of thing, let's take a new initiative. Let's take a new spirit and positivity, because I know Government of India is doing a lot of effort in that direction. Even ICOM India with Natural History Museum, Delhi, National Natural History Museum, National Museum of Natural History in Delhi, we have been doing that. They have given a competition for the children where in collaboration with ICOM India. So they are free to go wherever nearby neighborhood museum, take some pictures, write about that, so that we will get some feedback and reflection from the youngsters, and then we'll be giving some prizes to them. So it's just to boost up the people to go to the museum, visit museum, and share their experiences. And it will be posted in the ministry, in the National Museum of Natural History page, as well as ICOM India page. Wonderful. So it's a smaller initiative, but yes, the youngsters will think about museum, go to museum and see something. At least, they will feel that, okay, they have to look at the museum in a different dimension, not just go in and come out. Something, spend time, look at the object, try to understand, and then share their experience, what they think about it. So I think when they share the experience, a lot of things will come up. So definitely, from my side, what I feel is power of the museum. The museum is an institution, social institution, which is meant for the empowerment of the society, because it is for the service of the society. We if it is collection, if it is preservation, if it is education, if it is exhibition, or if it is outreach, or whatever way we look at museum. And a museum as a space for dialogue, and then, sharing ideas and community participation, get the community in, and then take care of their objects and tell more story about those objects, like co-curating with the curator and the people who, have those collections belongs to them. So the story building, the interpretation becomes more meaningful. The meaning making will become a better exercise. So I think when we think of power, museum, the power of museum, I think it is a powerhouse. But only thing, we have to change our directions and our, our ways of looking at it by adding those flavor which is untouched, or maybe touched but still need more deeper, levels of dealing with it. So I think, and if you do a bit of exercise from each one of us, could contribute a lot to make change in this, and then bring out the power of the museum in the true sense.
Wow.
Museum, the power of the museum in terms of women empowerment. See this Kala Raksha, which is taking up the name of Kala Raksha because in the remote part of Kutch, desert of Kutch, where, they are supporting the women who are coming after the daily life, half of the day come and do the embroidery and this thing, translating the know-how of the elder generation to the younger generation, and continuing the, the embroidery practice is still going on. So
Yeah.
in a way, empowering women, in a way, sustainability of the community and the craft.
Definitely.
The museum is doing that activity. So like, and if you look at the Bhasha, which is again in Gujarat, the Tejgarh, they are working for the folklore and the tribal and the sustainability of the language. The language is dying, the folklores are going off. Bhasha is doing a lot of activity with UNESCO. So if you look at only in Gujarat, state of Gujarat, so much. So I think huge potential across India.
Even one of the examples I would like to give here is the Seva Museum at Radhanpur. The entire collection is being donated by the artisan women. So we have so much of potential that an organization can organize one museum, which is all the rare and old textiles.
Yes.
Through the community participation. So I think community participation is what we need to bring in for really bringing the power of museums very strong in India, especially.
Yes.
We have such examples.
Yeah, we have so much. You look at Northeast, each state have so much of communities, tribals, folk, different flavor, different heritage, different stories to tell. I think India, if you look at museums, I think India is the powerhouse for museums, and museums in India are the powerhouses. It is, both way. So I think only thing we really have to strategize our next steps, and people have to change their attitude towards work. It is not for, taking salary or doing the job, but a part of it goes to your nation and cultural heritage. So bit of respect to our cultural heritage, and then handing it over to the next generation for the posterity to use it, because we have used it extensively for our benefits. So let it carry forward for the next generation to get some benefit, and let them own it, and take care of it, something like that.
Definitely, ma'am. Very well said about all the museums as a powerhouse for India. I think recently I was listening to a talk about somebody talking about the soft power of India, and I think the communities and the community contribution is the soft power of India, which we ICOM India and Museums of Ahmedabad and all the other organizations who are working for museums and cultural organizations can really tap into. Here, before closing the session, ma'am, I would specifically like to thank you today because you are traveling in the middle of power cut and internet issues. You are still with us. So thank you very much for doing this for us. And I hope that this video or this live session is going to be giving impact and giving some knowledge sharing to the museums, museum enthusiasts, and also the cultural organizations. And we will definitely put your email address in the post for people to contact ICOM India. And from our side, from Aadhar Charitable Trust and from Museums of Ahmedabad and now Museums of Gujarat Initiative, we offer you our services wherever you feel that we can contribute in the efforts of ICOM India. Even any other ICOMs across the globe interested into collaborating and getting some support from here, we are most happy to do that, because we believe that museums are the community spaces which has to be vibrant and experiential. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today.
Thank you, Avni, and thank you so much. Thank you all.
And we'll see you soon in person sometime. Thank you. Namaskar. So for all of us who
Namaskar.
have been here live with us today and who are going to see the video afterwards, we wish you all a happy International Museums Day 2022, and do stay in connection with us, with ICOM India, with Museums of Ahmedabad team, and let us know if you have any questions. If museums need any support from our side, we are happy to be part of enriching the museums in any ways we can. Use our skills, knowledge, network, and our enthusiasm. So on this note, we conclude our session today. It's 18th May 2022. The theme of International Museum Day today is the power of museums. And we really wish all the museums to have that power to outgrow their limitations and celebrate their artifacts or whatever they have in terms of the treasures, what they are having in the museums. Thank you so much. And once again, namaskar from Ahmedabad. Namaste.